my name is Danny Baker, and I've been an account executive here at IMAGINiT over the past 4 years. And I've been in the SaaS industry for a greater part of 12 years. So I really do enjoy working with our customers to solve complex business problems by helping them gain efficiencies through process automation. So before Jamie takes the floor and begins speaking about desktop automation, which is really the main reason you're spending some time with us today, I want to give you a quick overview of who we are at IMAGINiT. IMAGINiT is a wholly owned subsidiary of RAND Worldwide Corporation, which is a family of technology companies that acquire, resell, create, and implement technology for our clients to drive better employee and customer experiences. So we've got an extensive reach with more than 40 offices and over 400 employees. Our sales team is over 140 strong, with our engineering services group with more than 120 subject matter experts with competencies in all engineering disciplines. But being large is really important. However, we pride ourselves on having the best technology in the industry. So here on the right, here's a quick look at our footprint working from the inside out. So RAND, of course, is our parent company and publicly traded as RWWI. RAND Sim was formed from Blue Ridge Numerics, who were the original makers of Autodesk CFD, and they're our simulation providers and consultants. We also have RAND 3D, who work with our customers to document, facilitate, and manage their Dassault and PTC workflows and adoptions. Also, Ascent writes courseware for major CAD vendors, especially Autodesk, as well as doing technical writing for our customers. And then IMAGINiT, the group that Jamie and I work with, is the largest and best Autodesk partner in North America. And we have systems and teams in place for anything Autodesk. And on the outside, you'll see a few of our strategic partnerships, but also we have our own set of brands with Productivity Now, Pulse, Clarity, our Vault Utilities, which are all designed to make you better with the tools you own, save some time, and take some of the redundancy out of your daily workloads. So many companies that we work with are really good at building their products or projects. However, we find that they aren't really great at running technology implementations. So we keep you focused on what you do well, while we do well, which is the strategic implementation and automation of technology to improve operational efficiencies. So some of our core strengths being we architect and plan technology change roadmaps, so making sure we select and connect you to the right technology. We follow a standard take-aim approach through all the implementations. And another very important piece to the puzzle is your people. We have the tools that you need for training, adoption of specific systems, and learning management to keep your workplace sharp. So this I thought was a fitting quote for today from Bill Taylor, who's the founder of Fast Company magazine. He said the most successful organizations don't just outperform their rivals, they redefine the rules of the competition. So that's exactly what Jamie's going to do today, is show you how this is done. And then we also help engineering-driven companies pinpoint and address the critical issues impacting their operations through better use of people, process, and technology, and which really fosters reducing costs, improve quality, boost productivity and profitability, enables agility, and accelerates innovation. And just real quick before Jamie takes over, give you an example of one of my customers utilizing the Autodesk tools, and our automation team is ADS, or Advanced Drainage Systems. They're a leading provider in stormwater management systems. So they came to us with some pretty huge objectives, like saving 50% in design time, which currently we're saving them over 70%. And they wanted to produce around 20,000 drawings a year. So what we did in partnership with ADS is we created a desktop tool that you don't have to necessarily be a CAD user to create a project. It automates layouts and models of the underground storage systems and enables customers to create a job-specific design without the need to interact with the ADS's engineering team, hence making the tool fully functional 24/7. So, but they also eliminated, and here this was a big piece, eliminated the need of hiring 18 additional engineers and increased engineering productivity by 15%, with 40% of their product included on the web and this desktop configurator. And we're currently working to increase that. But also they reduced the time of design from days to literally minutes. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to Jamie. And he's now going to show you how you can work to boost productivity, reduce cost, accelerate innovation by utilizing desktop automation tools. So Jamie, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Danny. Hello everyone, thank you for being here today. Today we're going to talk about desktop automation, and particularly how you can extend that automation into a much larger integrated project. My name is Jamie Sharp. I'm an applications expert consulting PLM and design automation here at IMAGINiT. I've just turned over 7 years with IMAGINiT. I have extensive experience in Inventor design automation and Autodesk Forge, and have been involved in development of integration projects involving Fusion 360 Manage, Autodesk Vault, Forge, and ERP systems. And basically what that means is we're tying all of these different products together so that you have a integrated workflow kind of from beginning to end, and we're going to get into that more in just a minute. This project that we're going to show today demonstrates a new consolidated approach to integrating an RFQ generator, a product configurator, and a dynamic client-facing website into one simple solution with all the related data managed within Fusion 360 Manage. Just to briefly go over the agenda here, I'm going to overview that workflow, and then we'll go right into a demonstration where we will generate uniquely configured products and drawings for the end user with using the Autodesk Forge Design Automation environment, and then we're going to generate some requests for quote based on those generated configurations, and then demonstrate how all configurations, including for the website and for the RFQs, are managed in the background using Fusion 360 Manage. So sort of an overview of what's going on here. There are basically three key components. We have the client-facing website, we have Autodesk Forge on the back side, and then Fusion 360 Manage sort of in the middle, connecting everything. The client-facing website is a dynamic website. It has the configurator for the products, but all of the interface there, any of the categories that you're going to see, the particular input data for the product being configured, all of that is generated and managed by Fusion 360 Manage. And then once the configuration is built, it's viewable inside that website, and then you also have the RFQ process that's there as well. On the back side, we have Autodesk Forge, which is doing the heavy lifting, let's say. It takes that configuration data that we're inputting through the web and builds our newly configured model, and then from that generates any output that we're going to see, including the viewable 3D data, any outputs such as drawings, PDFs, etc., and any other downloadables that we're seeing. And then in the middle, we have Fusion 360 Manage that's really driving everything. So it houses all the model data that Forge needs to be able to build those configured products, but as well as hosting the RFQ process, so the data that comes in as well as a workflow for that, and then any of the input parameters and UI that's going to the dynamic website for the user to see. So that's kind of a lot to take in, but let's jump into a demonstration, and I think it'll make a lot more sense. All right, so here we have our website. This is just a layout that we set up to kind of demonstrate some of the functionality. Keep in mind, this could look like anything. There could be any design here, and the functionality would all still work, and we would expect that it would fit in with your existing website probably. We have basically these categories that we have set up, and you can kind of drill down through them to get to your individual products, and you can see how these categories are tied in through Fusion 360 Manage in just a moment. So if we look in industries and automotive, you see there's an industrial machinery section here, and we can see this So here is the interface for Fusion 360 Manage. This is the industry's workspace, and you can see how these are set up here. Here's our automotive section that we were just looking at. And then inside of those, we have the product lines that are in those industry categories. Now you can see that there's a product category defined here, and so let's say this was misplaced. Someone thought it should have been automotive, but really it makes more sense for this to be industrial, since this is industrial machinery. So we can save that and then go back to the website and refresh that, and you can see now that if we go into automotive, it's not there. But if we look at industrial, our industrial machinery categories here. So now that we're here, we can take a look at the individual products. We're going to start today with this concrete power trowel. And there's basically two sections here on the website. On the right is the viewer, which is data generated by Forge based off of our configured Inventor model that we created. And then on the left is all the configuration information for this product. So everything that you see over here on the left is dynamic, and it's generated from data inside of Fusion 360 Manage. So for this, so we can come over here now and look at the products. This is the products workspace. Inside here, here's our concrete power trowel, and you'll notice that there's a tremendous amount of data that can be input here. This is managing a lot of stuff. For our demo, you can see that these specifications, this is the data that's here under the technical specification, and that is dynamically pulled from Fusion 360 and loaded here when it's being viewed. We have these documents here. That's also managed inside of the product as attachments, and so anything you would want to add here or remove if it was out of date, those changes are reflected on the website. This is the actual configuration data, and this information corresponds to the parameters in the Inventor model that is being updated and the possible values to create a new configuration. So this is the data that's being changed, and this is, again, this is a sample. This could be much more complex. There could be a lot more information, or possibly you have you know, like some presets for a particular product where it changes a bunch of other properties for you and populates this data. But this information is still managed over in the product in Fusion 360 Manage. So we have this configuration options tab up here, and if you look at it, this is all of our parameters that are being edited on the website, and that's all driven from here. So another quick example, so if we look at the colors here, we have cyan, dark gray, this sand beige, but let's say that there's a change, and now we're, instead of sand beige, we're going to be offering emerald green, and we save that, and then you can come back to the website and we'll refresh that. Go back into our product, and you can see now that emerald green is now an option that can be selected. So again, the great thing there is we didn't have to call the web developer. It was a one quick easy change in a workspace that you're already in, possibly, you know, making other configuration changes. So we can, while we're here, we can go ahead and generate a new model. So this one is red, so we'll do a quick update, and now it's blue. Now, so what happens here is the data is gathered and sent to Forge, which also knows, based from the product, where to find the model data inside of Fusion to generate this new configuration. So all of that comes from here, and it generates it and then creates new viewable data and then populates the viewer so you can see what it is you've configured. So let's say you like that. All the other specs are great. Just wanted to change the color. You can go ahead and do your request for quote here. And so we will fill out the details, name, corporate, just name it something here, and then all the details, and we select the checkbox and ask for new request. So the request gets submitted, and then there's a workflow on the back of that. But we can stop here and take a look at what's happening behind the scenes. So every time you make a new configuration, that's saved into Product Configurations workspace in Fusion 360 Manage. So regardless of whether or not anyone wants a quote from that configuration that was made is captured and stored here. So if we look at our new Power Trowel configuration, all of the details about the product are listed here, the name, the number, the product line. But importantly, the configuration parameters that were used to build this unique instance are stored here, so that this configuration can be used for the quote that was just generated, or it could also be saved and downloaded, and maybe an engineer would tweak this particular configuration because there's something custom about it. But those parameters are stored and can be used later. It could also be used for some reporting to see what kind of things that people are building, and maybe there's some interest there. The other workspace that's important on the back side is the request for quote workspace. And so here you can see the corporate colors trial that I just made. And it has all the details from the information that I put in. Here's my title, here's my name, etc. But importantly, it has a configuration link that goes right over to that configuration that we just made, so that you know the exact configuration of the product that you need to build your quote from. Inside of the request for quote workspace, there's a workflow option so that you could actually build a workflow process around the quoting process, so that you can ensure whether this was won or lost. And so you would have historical data there from the configuration of the product itself all the way through to whether this was won or lost, to help make future decisions. So we have now looked at creating a new configuration through the website, and also creating the request for quote, which we were driving toward ultimately. Now we want to take a moment to look at how easy it is to add a new product that can be configured and quoted. So one of the difficult things a lot of time is whenever you need to add a new product, a new item to a configurator, there's a lot of manual manipulation and tweaking things and getting all the files set up and everything ready. But we have a much more streamlined process here that we can show you. So I want to go through that. If we go back and look at our products currently, you can see this is our list, and so we have this clamp that we want to add. So this is a model that we've made that we're testing with, and you can look at the parameters here. There's this is simplified, but for this example that we want to do, there's really the length and width which are parameters that can be changed, and it's going to change the properties of the base plate. So if we set that to 3 inches, for example, you can see the width of the base plate grows. And so this could be much more complex, of course, but for the example that we're doing here, that's enough to show the effect we're trying to achieve. So let's go back to Fusion 360 Manage, and we're going to click on the plus here in the Products workspace, and we're going to create a new product. So I have some properties here, so we can begin to fill in this data. Some fields you can see with the star are required, but we will add enough so that we know what it is that we're creating. New product, we're going to check the industrial machinery. We can choose an image file of the clamp, and some specifications. And then this is probably the most important part. This Design Automation Settings section tells Forge where to find the important model data and where to find the configuration that it's going to be using. And we will link it to a model and already have that there, so that would speed up the process a little bit, and we can save this. And then now you can see we have the product created in Fusion 360 Manage, and then we also have a link to the model. And again, this model is a separate workspace that actually holds the zipped Inventor data. So everything that we have here, all of these components, they're put into a zip file, and then that is uploaded into this workspace, where we will then, when we fire the automation, Forge will pick up the zip from here and use those parts and assemblies to configure the product. The other thing we have to do is set up the configuration options, and in this case it's pretty straightforward. There's a length, and again these correspond to the values that we saw in the model, and you can have a comma separated list here for the potential values that you want. These can also be string values, not just numbers. It can also be a range, so you could say between 1 and 10 if you were doing the length of an item, or you can have just a blank text field that you can write a value into. And we save that, and then that's it. So now we'll go back to the website and refresh. Okay, and we can go back into our industries and back into industrial machinery. So now, along with the power trowel and tank that we had earlier, we also have our clamp assembly that we just added. So as a reminder, this was not an item that was on the website earlier. This was dynamically added from the configured product in the products table that we added just a few minutes ago. So it's really that fast, and it appears when we select the product for the first time. The rendered model doesn't exist yet because this is new, and so we have to go out to Forge and build it the first time, and it generates, and now we have our model coming up in the back. And so through the viewer now we have the same clamp that we had in Inventor earlier, but this is the viewable model. And again, you can use any of the tools that are in the viewer. For example, there's a explode tool, and there's measure and other things. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of time today to go into the viewer in great detail, but those options are there. If we look at the configuration parameters here, you'll notice that these are the two that we had in Inventor that actually are driving the model, and they are the same ones that we added to Fusion 360 Manage. In the configurations options section, so now we can reconfigure this clamp just like we reconfigured the power trowel earlier, and update that to the new configuration, and you can see in this case it has updated the base to 3x3, and we can also look at the 2D output, which we didn't look at earlier, to see how it reflects the change configuration. So as the model updated, so did the drawing, and keep in mind this is a generated drawing. However, this drawing doesn't have any additional logic in it. We could add additional rules to the drawing itself to add additional dimensions, update the balloons. We could make changes to the part list if needed. A lot of things could be driven there, but in this case we're just, for this example, generating the drawing itself. Okay, so to recap, we have shown today how Fusion 360 Manage, Inventor, Forge, and the Dynamic Web can be combined to provide powerful results. This was an RFQ generator driven by Autodesk Forge, and it's available to a worldwide audience through the web. Configuration details can be easily managed through Fusion 360 Manage. Configuration changes and UI updates can be handled without getting under the hood, so to speak. Basically, you don't have to be the expert. You just need to manage and create your own data. And this is a custom integration developed by the IMAGINiT team. And in being custom, it truly is. I mean, the possibilities are endless, from the look and feel to the data that you are making available to your clients or that you're making available to your internal team. It's also very expandable. There are additional workflows that you can use to create a BOM and integrate it back into Vault and Fusion 360 Manage change order process. We have a link here of another webinar that one of my colleagues did that you can look at, managing data across the enterprise and digital transformation. And that's more about that process. Additional outputs can also be created and be available for download or stored back into Fusion 360 Manage. Additional connections can also be made. That could be Vault or an ERP system or something else. I mean, basically, if it can be connected to, we can connect to it. Website could also be customized to handle complex configurations or input workflows. Two examples we cite here of work that we've done recently: Advanced Drainage Systems and Wirecrafters. These are both large, complex projects. Advanced Drainage Systems has many inputs, and output configurations are basically infinite. So that concludes the presentation. Thanks everyone for attending today. Now we're going to open up for some questions.